Hey Joe, in regards to the secondary, specifically Adore, I don't think we really talked about free agency, and then Robinson. How much adding guys like that change what you guys can do, just schematically and coverage wise?
Look, we're always looking for different skill sets that create versatility within our defensive schemes. And look, ultimately throughout the draft and free agency, you're looking for the best players available. We happen to go through the draft. We had the opportunity to add two good corners to come in and compete with our current roster. We'll see when they get there how it shakes out. Again, I tell the guys all the time, it's the truest thing I can say is it doesn't matter how you get here. It's what you do when you are here. So we're excited to get these guys here. At the same time, I'm excited to work with every player on our current roster. And again, look, our goal is to make every position as competitive as can be. And that's when you really get the best out of your team.
Zach Rosenblatt, NJ.com.
Hey, Joe, I think you guys drafted something like 5 guys that were Senior Bowl participants this year. And I know a few of them talked about like the conversations they had with you. And I think Rodarius mentioned you guys like even testing. I'm like, how important are those face-to-face conversations, especially in a year like this where you didn't have the combine to meet with these guys? Like, how big of a deal is that this year?
Yeah, for me, they're crucial. All right. I don't really like adding someone to our team or I can't really have a strong enough opinion on someone if I haven't really had good enough interaction with them as a person. And there's no better opportunity to sit down with somebody, look them eye in eye, and really ask them tough questions that you need answered and get a feel for them as a person. So, a number of these guys at the Senior Bowl we came away with, obviously with, the ability to have a strong enough opinion. To be honest with you, the guys you only see on tape, if you don't have enough interaction with, you may like them as a player, and there's just something missing that you can't really stand on a table and say, this guy fits our locker and this guy fits our culture. So the interactions are definitely crucial for us.
Mark Cannizzaro, New York Post.
Hey, Joe, is it possible at this point to gauge how much better you've gotten with this draft? And secondly, do you look at the other teams in your division in terms of what they've done and maybe whether you've gained on them or not, or is that too early to do that at this point?
Yeah, look, I don't think you can ever make a team on paper. I don't think you can ever really win in the offseason. To me, it's about adding, competitive players at each position. And then when training camp starts and the competition truly starts, that's when we'll know how much we've improved. We'll know when we start in the preseason games, and we'll truly know when we get into the season. It's a fair question. I fully understand it. We're looking to add, raise level play at every position. But look, by adding competition, I said today, it's 2 things happen. You either bring somebody in who you improve because they're good enough to take someone else's job, or you bring someone in who pushes the guys in front of them to keep their own job. And either way, you get a raised level of play.
Tom Rock, Newsday.
Joe, Gary Brightwell sounded a little bit like you talking about special teams and all the hidden yards and the importance of it. What did you like about him in those roles while he was in college?
He's a guy that definitely jumped out, and actually it was a few weeks back, me, Tom Quinn, and Tom McGahee were sitting actually in the staff room. It was on a Saturday, and it was about 5:30 in the morning. Tom Quinn brought his name up to us, and we started watching some of his kick game. And this dude was flying down the field, and I'll tell you what, it was early enough that it woke you up, and you really got excited about watching him. You start watching a lot more of his offense and talking with our scouts. We've done a lot of research on him. You start talking to Burton as far as the running back value. And look, he's a guy that jumped out from a skill set. You're always looking for, good versatility and depth at those positions, running back and the kicking game. And, to be honest with you, the opportunity I had to really speak with him and spend some time with him, even though it was over Zoom with Gary, was very, very impressive. He's got a tremendous story. This dude, has nothing but the utmost of compliments given to him by everyone who's been around him from every level. And he was a guy that, was available at the time. And he's a guy that we thought we'd bring in the building, and he would compete for our roster and challenge guys on our roster and help make us a better team.
Ed Valentine, Big Blue View.
Hey, Joe, from the outside, there's a lot of surprise that you guys didn't address the offensive line throughout the 3 days of the draft. Dave talked about this, but I'm curious for your perspective on the guys that you have and whether you're, completely comfortable, going into the season with the group you've got.
Yeah, first off, I'm encouraged by the guys we have on our roster right now. They're working hard. We don't have them in the building just yet, not all of them. As we get closer to the, mandatory mini camp and then training camp, we'll obviously be able to get a better feel for them on the grass. I would say we're always looking to make every position more competitive, but look, right now we're committed to working with the guys on our roster and improving each one of those guys individually, and that should help the unit collectively.
Paul Schwartz, New York Post.
Hey, Joe. Ellison Smith, a little lower level of competition, a guy who's gained a lot of weight, big hands, good athlete. I mean, this team's been looking for an edge rusher. for many years now. You know, you've taken stabs and guys, things like that. You took 2 in this draft. You think you got it right with these 2 guys?
I think we added 2 guys between Ellerson and Aziz that are going to be able to come in. They have a skill set to develop and work with. Both guys really fit in our outside linebacker category. And look, in our defense, our outside backers have a variety of skill sets. Some guys are more stout set the edge guys that are better in early down run setting. Some guys are more third down, sub package, pass rushers. You know, look, Ellerson's a guy, I got the opportunity to sit down with him, Mobile at the Senior Bowl. I was impressed with him down there playing. You watch his tape. One thing I'd say about the guys from small schools and low level competition, I think sometimes people over evaluate someone because of where they played in college. All right. And this is a guy that you really look at his story in terms of this guy weighing about 195 pounds coming out of high school. He was built more like a receiver. So someone obviously at Northern Iowa did a good job evaluating this guy and seeing his upside and potential. That's what I think we did a good job as well. We're going to give him an opportunity to develop, but he's gained a lot of weight. Okay. That just shows his commitment to his body and really developing over time. Some guys are late bloomers. But I know when Northern Iowa plays, whether it's him, Spencer Brown, who was drafted in this draft, a number of other guys, those guys play tough. You know, you watch their tape, they're a competitive team. So to me, I look at a lot of lower, competition per se, quotes or smaller schools as really more of an opportunity to grow these guys, all right, as guys that really weren't always in a program where they had great nutrition plans or maybe the top tier strength program or assets available to them. Sometimes you get a guy from a really good program and you got to look at them and say, how topped out are they? They've already been coached very, very well. They've had a resource at all times. What's their ceiling? How much higher can they really go? You get a guy from a smaller school that's got all the skill set and the mentality and the mindset coming and work. And you say, we can really develop this guy. Let's be patient with this guy, give him time, throw him in, let him compete. And if they have upside, then all of a sudden you see him really competing on your roster.
Thanks.
Last one here, Jordan Rana, ESPN.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Jordan.
Last year, you were on the job with 3-4 months at the time. I'm sure it was a whirlwind. I'm curious, how is this year, the whole process and your involvement any different?
No, I think from the day I got here, we've all worked together very well. That's one thing that I've talked about from the very beginning. It's been very open on both sides of the building. It's just one building. It's not separated personnel and coaching. Everyone's working together. Right now, we have our scouts with our coaches working through the free agency process after the draft. Me and Dave and Kevin and Mark and Tim and Chris, we always talk fluidly throughout the entire process. I'd say the biggest difference for me this year is the fact that obviously through the fall, there was more involvement because I wasn't here last fall or 2 falls ago. So the ability to kind of talk about who's in the draft coming up, who we're looking at, who we're targeting, what kind of bodies, the change of the scheme and the further understanding on both sides of what we're looking for and how we work together. So, after going through a cycle last year, you kind of knock off some of the newness and this time through is a lot more fluid.